Okay, I'm going to show you how to solve an easy Sudoku puzzle. Each of these boxes of 9 squares contains the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Each row contains 1 through 9, and each column contains 1 through 9. A good way for beginners to begin would be to work across the top 3 rows and find if there's a 1 in the bottom section and a 1 in the middle, then one of these two numbers has to be a 1. I don't know which it is, so I'll put a little 1 in each corner, and I like to draw just a little loop around it like that. Now 2, there's a 2 in the bottom, there's a 2 on the top, so this has to be a 2 in the middle. If you can't have two 2's in the same row, so 2, 2, 2. Now, there is a 3 on the top, that means one of these two has to be a 3. And since down here is a 3, this cannot be a 3, so this has to be a 3. And now we can see that 3 is on top, 3 is on bottom, so one of the two of these must be a 3. There's a 3 on this outside, so we know this is a 3. Now with 4's, there's a 4 on the bottom, 4 in the middle, one of these two has to be a 4. This is a 4, so I know that this corner one is a 4. 5, we have top, middle, so this bottom has to be a 5. 6, we have bottom, middle, or top. And I can see here that that one of those has to be a 1, and now I know one has to be a 6, so I'll erase my little mark that I had, and I'll put a little 1 and a little 6, and I'll circle them. That tells me that those are a 1 and a 6. 7. Here this shows me that the top, this can't be a 7, so the bottom has to be a 7 because the middle's already full. So we have bottom, middle, that tells me a 7 has to go right here. Now as far as 8 goes, we have the middle, the top, this has to be an 8. And for the 9, we have middle, bottom, so the top has to be a 9. The only thing we can't tell out of this first section is what these two are, but we know that one of them is a 1 and one of them is a 6. And I've got my little 1 and 6 in each box circled, so I know that's what they are. Looking down here, we can't tell, so we just go on to the next section. And across here we do the same thing. We look for 1's. I can't tell there about 1. Any of these can be a 1. So right now we can't tell the 1. We go on to 2. We have top, middle, so one of these two has to be a 2. But because this is a 2, that can't be a 2, so this one has to be. Then we go on to 3. 3, 3. We have top, bottom, middle. This middle has to be a 3. This is the only spot for it. And then we'll go on to 4. We've got the bottom. Now over here, the bottom can't be a 4, and this side one can't be a 4. Because of this 4 it can't be there, because of this 4 it can't be there, so the 4 must go on the top right here. Now, we have 4 on top, 4 on bottom. One of these middle ones has to be a 4. It can't be the right side, and it can't be the middle, so the left has to be a 4. And we just keep going methodically like this. 5 is in the middle. When I come over here, this shows me that one of these, the top is full, so one of these bottom two has to be a 5. But it can't be the middle, so this must be a 5. So now we have 5 on the bottom, 5 in the middle. One of these two has to be a 5. If I look here, that can't be a 5, so it must go here. Now 6, we have in the middle we have a 6, and on the top we have a 6, so one of these three has to be a 6. The only spot available is right there, so we'll put the 6. And then we're on 7. One of these top two numbers has to be a 7. There's already a 7 in the middle, so it must go right there. We have 7. We come down here, 7. We can't tell which of these two is a 7, so I'll wait. Over here, we can see that there's a 7 this can't be a 7. The only other spot for a 7 is here, so the bottom is a 7. And now going back to the middle, we have 7 on top, 7 on bottom. One of these two has to be a 7. It can't be the right, so the 7 goes there. And then we're on 8. We have 8 on the bottom. One of these two is an 8, but we don't, oh, and here we go. There's an 8, so the top can't be an 8, so it has to be the middle. And then on to 9. The bottom is a 9, middle 9, so one of these three has to be a 9. The only open spot for it is right there. And then after I go through the whole thing, I should go back through and see what I'm missing. And I already can see that it's got to be a 1 everywhere, but just to show you, there is no 1. See, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so we know this has to be a 1. In this box I can see there's not a 1, but just to prove it, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so this has to be a 1. Now we have 1 top, 1 bottom, so this has to be a 1. We got this whole section filled in. Now we come down to the bottom and we do the same thing. Across the bottom with the 1s, I can see there's a 1 on the bottom, 1 in the middle, so one of these 3 squares has to be a 1 in the top. The only open spot is right there. There's the 1. Do the same thing with the 2. We have the top, there's a middle, so one of these 2 has to be a 2. And if I look up, I see that there's a 2 already in this column, so that can't be a 2, so the 2 has to go here. Now we're on to 3. 3, 3, 3, they're all there. 4, we have the top, the bottom, one of these 2 has to be a 4. If I look up, there's a 4, so this can't be the 4, so this one has to be the 4. And then on to 5, we have bottom, top, middle. 6, we have top, middle, so one of these 3 has to be a 6. There's only one open spot, so it must go there. Now 7, there are no 7s anywhere, so I'll look up here and see that it has to be one of these 2. That does me no good so far. If I wanted to, I could make a little 7 and a little 7 to show myself that those are 7s. As I go across, I can see that there is a 7 on the right side, there is a 7 in the middle, so one of these 3 has to be a 7, the only open spot is right there. And now I know that somewhere in these bottom 2 rows, because there's a 7 on top, somewhere in these bottom 2 rows I have to have a 7. There's only one opening, so I go there. Now if I go back here where I put with pencil a little 7 and a little 7, one of these 2 has to be a 7. Well, it can't be the middle, so it must be the left side. And I'll erase those little marks I put there. And now I'm on to 8. For 8, the middle is full here. It cannot be the top because they're already full. The middle already has an 8, so it has to be the bottom. The only spot for it is here. And if we have 8 on the bottom, 8 on the middle, one of these 3 must have an 8. And there's only one spot, so there it goes. Now I'll go on to 9. The bottom has a 9. These 2 rows are full, so the 9 has to be in the top row. There's only one opening, so I'll fill it in. And then so we have 9 on the bottom, 9 on the top, and 9 in the middle. Alright, now this is an easy Sudoku, so I'm only missing 2 squares right there that we're going to fill in really quickly. Normally you would then go through and do the same process down each section and fill them all in, but with an easy you can almost beat the whole thing on the first try. Now if we come back here, we know one of these is a 1 and one is a 6, so I'll erase those little marks, get them out of there. We have a 1 and a 6 that I wrote earlier. If you look here, there's already a 1, so I know that cannot be a 1. If it can't be a 1, it must be a 6. And if these had to be 1 and 6, if that's a 6, this must be a 1. And if you check it over, every row has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Every single one of them does. Every column has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And every single square, pick one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was pretty quick and easy to solve. The easy Sudokus, you don't need to use a lot of strategy. If you like this, stay tuned. I'll put up another one solving a medium, and I'll put up a hard one too. But this is a good place for beginners to start. Just remember, if you've got a 4 on the top and a 4 on the bottom going across, or a 4 on the top and a 4 in the middle, you must have a 4 on bottom. If you do that, going across each section and then up and down each section, you can solve easy and medium Sudoku puzzles without using any other strategies. Hope you enjoyed it.